what's going on, guys? This is episode 2 of the Jawas and Java podcast. My name is Mike. This is my brother, Stefan. We are going to be talking today about the big grand finale, chapter 16 of The Mandalorian that should be dropping tomorrow. We got to get into this real quick because we missed a little bit with you guys because the season's coming to an end. So we want to talk about the last episode and what we think is going to happen in the next episode. So, Steph, what do you think?
So, well, with last episode, I thought it was phenomenal. I thought Mayfeld. I thought everything they did was amazing. The Boba Fett armor, the way there was a little bit of a detour episode, but the way they're doing the detour episodes now, it's kind of like they're still so significant to the story, and they're done so well that I don't even mind it anymore. And that's my opinion on last episode. I thought it was terrific. I watched it 4 times this week. I think I may have watched last episode more times than any episode so far this season. It was phenomenal, action packed, really excited, really exciting. I loved Mayfeld. I thought it was great. What are your thoughts on last episode?
I mean, yeah, just like you said, people call things a filler episode, but there's so many surprises and things that happen in this story that nothing really is a filler episode anymore. Even with this past episode, we had kind of like Bill Burr come back, Mayfeld, and we had his character come back, in which everyone thought it was going to be like a breaking him out kind of situation, but we jumped right into it. We got him real quick in the beginning. He was part of the episode the entire time. And I loved the fact that we saw a lot of stuff in a filler episode. We saw Din's face, which was a
Yeah.
huge surprise to us that we didn't think we were going to get in that aspect or at all this season. But I mean, I thought it was a great episode.
Yeah.
I watched it a bunch of times too. I know we watched it together when it first dropped, and then we watched it a few times separately. And I think it was a great episode into the ending because we know something big is going to happen, especially with the ending of this episode, how we know how it left off. So,
Yeah, and especially with us finding out only a few days later about, Rangers of the New Republic and all that stuff. Now, then the world starts swirling also with what Mayfeld and Bill Burr are going to do in that series. And if he's going to be sticking around a lot more than we thought, because I definitely thought he was a one and done character. I know in the off season, they were discussing a lot about Bill Burr was coming back. I didn't like it on paper because I didn't love that episode in season 1. The prison break episode may have been my least favorite episode of season 1. So I wasn't thrilled. I wasn't counting down the days for it, but it exceeded expectations. I thought it was amazing. And yeah, I hope we get more Mayfeld. I really do.
and I can't really remember because the days are flying, but I believe the investor day wasn't it the same day as the the
Oh,
Mandalorian was the
yes. It
next
was on
day,
a
but
Thursday.
it
Yeah,
was,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it was on the same
Yeah.
day. So
And
that
we
kind
watch it
of
at 3 a.m. for
exactly. So
anybody who wants to know. We're 3 a.m. We're 3 a.m.ers. We stay up all night, East Coast
yes,
time. And we
troop it
had
out.
that back to back. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and what I'm gonna say is that the fact that Ahsoka is getting her own show, that right there made me think that we're not getting any more Ahsoka in The Mandalorian. So that dropping right before the episode that we watched, I counted her out. And I'm also counting her out for the finale because I'm just thinking that her voyage is going to be on her own terms with her own show, and Thrawn might be tied into that. And we might get a Thrawn name drop, or we might get a little bit of Thrawn during The Mandalorian. But I really think that that whole storyline with Ahsoka is totally just jumping back into her own TV show and going to be almost like a Rebels 2, but with her as the lead this time.
Yeah. But what I love about that is the fact that it's almost like this mini Favreau Filoni universe within the bigger picture, because they're going to get that, the Rangers show, and Ahsoka and Mandalorian. So all those three together, all coming together is really wild and really, really exciting. And yeah. Now right into, since you brought it up, Thrawn and all that stuff, and whether or not we're going to see Ahsoka again. I guess we'll get right into the predictions for the next episode. You want to get us kicked off there?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is that with the next episode, I really believe I'm hoping that it's going to be at least a 45 to an hour episode. That's number one. So we're going to get a lot of stuff. The first thing that comes to my mind with the finale that I really want to see is who Grogu reached out to on the Seeing Stone. We saw it happen, but we didn't see any interaction with any other Jedi. We know that Ahsoka said that if you reach out, a Jedi might hear you. We don't know who it is. So the speculation is what Jedi heard, and if we're going to see them tomorrow, if they're going to save that for the next season, or maybe the end of this episode shows a little clip of who it could be. So I'm really looking forward to seeing who that Jedi is. I know we have a few Jedi that we talk about that it could be, but that's also so broad because every different direction with the Jedi brings the story in a totally different direction.
Yeah, I mean when it comes to pretty much what I think, and I hope I'm wrong about this, but I definitely do not expect to get the Jedi that reached out tomorrow night. You
You
know
don't
what I
think
mean?
so?
I don't. No, I don't think so. Just because I mean, we discussed this off camera and stuff like that. I've said before how I just don't think it's gonna be a hot potato game with Grogu, where Mando has him, then the Empire has him, then Mando has him, then the Empire gets him back, and then Mando's gonna get him back tomorrow. So I actually expect somehow, some way, and like I said, I hope I'm wrong about all this. I really do, but I expect the Empire and Gideon to hold on to Grogu for the off season. I think we're going to be dragged through the mud a little bit, and might finish the season doubling down on the tragedy episode versus this big heroic moment, because we still have a lot of time left. I mean, we could, like I said, I hope I'm wrong. I hope we get that Jedi, and I hope we get Grogu back, but I'm not sure if I'm expecting it.
I don't know. Since day one with the Mandalorian, I feel like the theme is really surprises. We've got some huge surprises from episode one, where the show The Mandalorian was. We couldn't wait for it. We saw the trailers, we saw the pictures, but we never saw Grogu or the child at the time. We had no idea that was going to happen. So I'm hoping that they have something up their sleeve, which I can't imagine because it's the final episode, and I know there's going to be action packed, and we're going to get a lot of Moff and the troopers, and we're gonna get a big fight. We have Boba, we have Fennec. It's gonna be a crazy war. We could lose somebody, maybe Boba.
Yeah.
But so I know we're gonna get a lot of surprises in that aspect, but I just think there's gonna be something big, whether it's in the last 5 seconds of the episode, like they like to do, and give us that, oh my god, and we gotta wait till next year, and then we're speculating for a year of who that was or who's going to play that character that we just saw a silhouette of, or maybe they have a character like Thrawn or somebody who's already casted and we have no clue, which could be the
Yeah.
case. It's not
No,
easy to
you're
do that, but it
definitely
could be
right.
the case.
You're definitely right in the sense of like they haven't stopped with the surprises. You know what I mean? Especially this season. Every single episode this season has pretty much had one jaw-dropping moment or another. So there's definitely big shock on the table. Whether it's Thrawn, Ezra, Cal, Mace, Luke, of course, all of that stuff is 100% on the table. But I personally just don't expect it. I'm expecting more of a lot of Mando, a lot of I don't even know what crew he's gonna go up there with. You know what I mean? It's gonna be
So
really really intense.
obviously, Ahsoka would have never mentioned another Jedi reaching out if he wasn't reaching out to another
Oh
Jedi.
yeah. We'll
So we
get
know,
another Jedi.
yeah. So we know that's definitely gonna tie into the story, whether it's the finale episode or it's next season, whatever the situation is. I'm sure Filoni and Favreau have a plan for that, just
Yeah.
like they
I
had
would
Ahsoka.
expect it next
Yeah,
season, sure. But
I'm sure
like
that.
we don't know.
No, we have no idea. But who do you
Yeah,
think? Who do you think? Like, if you had to really narrow it down to somebody, and we'll go back to this in a year and say, like, this is who you thought at that time. Who do you think the Jedi could be?
I think obviously with the Ahsoka Thrawn tie-in, that the easy answer and the more obvious answer would be Ezra. I think that is the like I said, the easy answer. That's who it's probably going to be if I had to lean towards that way. But for the sake of shaking it up a little bit, I would really like to see Cal, and I would like to see Cal a lot in live action, especially since they have the actor ready. They have the fandom, on his side. Video games, well, I shouldn't say video games. Jedi Fallen Order is like the one thing that doesn't feel directly tied in yet. They've pretty much gotten everything tied in besides, the Mantis or that crew. And so I would really love to see that. But if I had to bet, I'm sure I would pick Ezra.
I would go with Ezra too. And I was like, before my thing is before they announced the Ahsoka show, I thought Ezra was a lock. Even
Yeah,
if we didn't get him tomorrow, we got a name drop at the end, and then we waited a year to see who was Ezra, leaks of a cast,
yeah.
speculations, fan casts, which we already got, and I already have in mind actors that I would love to play Ezra. But I don't know. I thought it was going to be Ezra. It still could be Ezra. It also depends on how the Ahsoka show like when it takes place, and the timeline of that show dropping with the next season of Mandalorian or the fourth season of Mandalorian or whatever the situation
Well,
is.
supposedly they're all supposed to be happening simultaneously.
Exactly.
So my assumption would be that like Mando season 3 and the season 1 of the other two shows would kind of be simultaneous. But you're 100% right. That's
Yeah,
not
but
Ahsoka could start, you know,
we know from Rebels
Grogu.
that Ahsoka is looking for Thrawn and mainly looking for Thrawn because she is looking for Ezra.
Right. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
so
Exactly. They're
my
direct. They're physically
yeah.
together. The last time we see them, if there's one thing we know about Thrawn and Ezra for a fact on screen, is they're physically together
Yeah.
somewhere. We don't know
So
where. We don't know how.
so we don't know. My assumption with that situation would be that the first time we see Ezra would be in the plot of the Ahsoka show and
Yeah, I
not
agree.
in the Mandalorian because it I feel like that might
Right.
be the
Yeah.
plot of the show, a Rebels 2
Mhm.
ask, or they could throw us for a loop and Ezra could pop into this show and then the Ahsoka show could take place after that. And now Ezra's back and Ezra's with them or whatever the situation is.
Yeah. I mean, technically, if you asked me, and I guess I'm being a little biased because I'm not the biggest fan of recasting, especially recasting a character that's saga ended 12 months ago. But I think on paper, Luke makes a ton of sense too. It's just that's a really dicey situation with the recasting and everything. And also,
I I
I kind of
I
don't
I
want it. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm so against a recasting of Luke, just like I was against a recasting of Han. I mean,
yeah, logically, Luke makes the most sense, even more so than Ezra, because in this timeline, he's literally
yeah,
searching for
and
Jedi.
and
He
also
makes the most sense, but he doesn't because it just doesn't add up unless they're recasting. And like I said, my bias is telling me.
I would love to
Thank you.
see Luke again because I think that would build his story, which, in my opinion, with the Last Jedi was a little tarnished.
Yeah,
So I think seeing a younger Luke with his own Jedi temple and maybe explaining a little more of what's going on and why we got those situations in The Last Jedi, even though that whole thing becomes dicey when you start tying that closely together. But at least we would understand it more and it would make those sequel moments that we can't fathomable. Because I think that that's what The Mandalorian is doing right now. The Mandalorian is leading up to the new First Order. It's leading up to the clone of Palpatine. It's leading up to Snoke, So, and
yeah, for
that
sure.
for me, I love it because they're doing it the right way, but we're not getting, we already got whatever we got. So if you're going to lead up to it and you're going to fix things here and there without ruining everything, if Mandalorian was trying to just patch holes and was sloppy, that would suck. But
Yeah,
I think what they're doing is like a great job at keeping a storyline going and then adding to storylines we already saw, but just making them better. They're touching on Rebels, they're touching on the sequels, they're touching on stories from characters from the original series.
yeah,
We could see Force Ghosts, we could see we could see Yoda. We've heard already Yoda's name drop, and he, even though
Mhm.
he was in Rebels briefly and Clone Wars, but he's originally a original character for us, you
Yeah,
know.
for sure. Yeah, no, and I agree, and I definitely think that like if you have the opinion of Luke Skywalker was ruined in the sequel trilogy, or you didn't like what they did with Luke in the sequel trilogy, and that this could save him. I mean, like I said, personally, I could do without it, especially, you know what I mean. I just
Well,
I'm not leaning towards wanting Luke. That's my opinion with it.
I
If we
don't.
get him, I'm sure I'll be fine with it. I'm not saying I'm gonna
If
be.
you're recasting Luke and it's Sebastian Stan, or whoever the character or the actor is going to replace the character, I'm not going to be connected with that character whatsoever. Maybe a new audience will, but somebody like me, like, I don't want to see that again. Like when I watched the Han Solo movie, Solo, I couldn't connect with that character, because even though he was dressed like Solo and he was kind of talking like Solo, but he was also doing things that I never would have imagined Han Solo doing, and I didn't want to ever see Han Solo doing.
Yeah,
And that's my fear with Luke. Even if they do the story great, it's still going to be hard to connect.
yeah,
Even connecting, it's different connecting live action characters with a real with a animated character. That's a totally different situation. That's something that you want to see them come to life, and this is the person that's portraying them. But when it comes to a recast of Luke, especially somebody like Luke Skywalker, I don't know if I
yeah.
could
And like I
handle
said,
that.
they made such a huge deal of the finale of that, the Skywalker saga and all that, that it would be really ironic. I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna go ballistic or anything like that. I'm sure they would do a good job, especially with the Mandalorian. They nail everything, but I'm not the biggest fan of that whole recast and whatnot. But technically, he makes by far the most sense. He definitely makes the most sense, especially in timeline and everything like that. But definitely leaning towards Ezra or Cal. Even though Cal would be a little bit older now, but I could get behind it.
No, I agree with you 100%. I'm hoping but your take is that we're not getting a Jedi
Oh
for
no,
now. We're
I don't.
getting.
I would be real like if let's say we got Ezra next episode, tomorrow 3 a.m. for us. I would be absolutely shocked if we got that plot point right now. I feel like that could be season 3, like the entirety of season 3. You know what I mean? So I really don't expect. I mean, I would love for him too, and like I said, I really hope that I'm wrong about this, but I also really don't expect Grogu to be saved. You know what I mean? Because then
Yeah.
that would be pretty much what is it? One full episode where Grogu was captured by the Empire. You know what I mean? So and
One
I, and
thing
I
that
just I just don't think they could keep playing hot potato with this character. I don't think they could just keep going back and forth without anything happening to Moff Gideon or Din. You know what I mean?
One thing that threw me for a loop was Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah,
He did the interview
yeah, yeah,
where
yeah. I was gonna mention that.
where he mentioned you're going to see a lot more of me in season
Yeah,
3.
yeah.
And even though we saw a lot more of him in season 2, we never really got. It was always bits and pieces. It was always an ending of an episode where we got a little like tidbit. It was nothing like,
It's also a huge casting, huge character.
oh
He's
yeah,
even if he is under Thrawn, Gideon is still going to be the Mandalorian villain. So
oh without
Gideon's
that,
not going anywhere.
no,
So if unless they were going to kill Gideon, which like I said
which
is still
they're not now.
possible.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean
yeah,
Giancarlo kind of made that pretty clear that
yeah.
even if they were going to go away with Gideon, which they're not going to, that would be a huge shocking thing. But him kind of confirming he'll be back, like I said, it wouldn't make sense for me for them to have this huge heroic episode. They get Grogu back. Grogu's back with his, father now, basically. And then next season, we're back to him trying to find the Jedi. and Gideon trying to track Grogu. It would be the same plot line as this season. But I guess we'll see. I mean, listen, I would be
See,
thrilled. I would be
my
absolutely thrilled to be wrong about this.
my theory from the beginning of the season when I discussed this situation, what could happen at the end of season 2, I thought for sure, even before Ahsoka did the Thrawn name drop, that we were gonna have, finally they conquer Moff Gideon, they get the child back, everyone's happy, they think everything's great, and then we have almost like a Thanos situation where Thrawn comes into the picture at the end, and maybe somebody goes up to him and tells him that Moff Gideon was killed, and he turns around and pretty much like, I'll do it myself kind of situation.
Yeah.
I'll get it myself kind of
Yeah.
situation, like a Thanos. And that's what I was really thinking until
Still could
Giancarlo kind of
still
it
could turn
could,
out
yeah,
that way.
it could. We don't know. Once he did a couple like interviews and he said that he was going to be around for season 3, he could be a secondary character to the bad guy. He could be the right hand man now and not the main villain.
Right.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I said, if Ezra pops up in the first 7 seconds of chapter 16, I'm not going to be upset about it. I'm
No.
just not. I'm not banking on it. I'm not going to be disappointed if he doesn't.
So far, every episode this season, I've been shocked every episode. I didn't know what to expect. Every single theory that I've given leading up to an episode, I remember watching the Ahsoka episode together, and I was like, she might not show up until the end. And then
Yeah.
the episode turns on, and before you see Grogu, before you see the Mandalorian, before you see anything, you see two
Here's the
white
cold open.
sabers,
Like, yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, and you have a Jedi whizzing through the trees, and you know who that is just by the lightsabers and the look. And I was shocked. So
Yeah.
even like the last episode when I said they're gonna probably be breaking Mayfield out of
Yeah, you
prison,
thought it was gonna be you thought it was gonna be another prison break episode. And I was like,
yeah,
yeah, maybe. I mean, why not? Like that's what it sounds like. And it wasn't at all. They
yeah,
got
because I
him
didn't,
in the cold open of the episode.
yeah. And one thing that I think, if I doubt anybody could have imagined or thought this was going to happen with Boba Fett repainting his armor. I don't think there's a single person who called Boba Fett coming out in perfectly painted armor at all. I
Well,
think that the last armor everyone thought they would ever see Boba Fett in was going to be very, very grimy and chipped up.
yeah, they're
And so
calling out.
that was really cool.
This season so far has been an absolute merch killer because
Oh,
people were painting their Boba Fett's into looking like the old, that really raggedy armor, and then he comes
mm-hmm,
out with this brand new crisp look, almost looks like a different character. Egg's
mm-hmm.
gone, Razor Crest is gone. So I mean, it's all good stuff, but
Yeah, and that's another thing too. There's no Razor Crest, so right now Mando is relying on Boba Fett, and he's relying on his crew to help him out right now. But he's also flying around in the Slave One, and he's got no ship, so we don't know what's going to happen at the end. People are speculating. We also talked about Mando maybe getting the Slave One as his ship, which would be really
yeah.
cool. But
That's
it's also
in my opinion, that's like the only thing that makes sense to me. Like the second the Razor Crest exploded, and when I could process thought after that episode, that tragedy episode, when I could finally wrap my brain around it, was oh, okay, so Din's gonna get the Slave One somehow, whether Boba's gonna die, whether Boba's gonna pass it down and go off onto some other planet or something like that. The only thing that makes sense to me right now is Din getting that Slave One, and now they're making it its own character. They're showing the inside. They're showing tech that no one ever knew. You know what I mean? Because I remember when they first showed the Slave One, and I said this to you, we were both like, oh, maybe that doesn't make sense because there's not that much, like we don't even know if there's enough room
oh yeah,
on
the way that the
the
Slave One
line.
look. Yeah, the
Yeah,
way that the
yeah.
Slave One looks, it's a one seat. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I've never.
you don't think that there's room for a crew on there and
No.
all Mando's equipment and all that stuff. So we were saying, oh, maybe that doesn't make sense, and then they showed the inside and shut that logic down. So I think him getting the Slave One is all but confirmed. It's just a matter of how. And Boba, I could see, Boba going, especially with basically the confirmation that the Boba series isn't happening. Like that was a huge, huge, huge speculation, and
Oh
that
yeah,
was
that
not announced. So the Boba series could be, this could be it. This could be it for Boba. You know what I mean?
it
Even though
could.
he's doing so well right now, like I said, I hope that's not true either.
Yeah, but we'll see his face again.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah.
You
He's
know,
already,
it's you know, we'll see
yeah,
him as Rex. We'll.
yeah.
s-
People were saying
I
Cody
mean,
and
I
Obi-Wan.
yeah, I
A
was
lot
gonna
of
say
people are confirming.
I don't think it's confirmed, but I'm reading a lot of people and articles saying that the actor is going to be in Obi-Wan, and
Yeah.
so he'll be around for a long time. He's
Nah,
got a
that's
lot
a
of
yeah,
roles that
no,
he
that
could
that
play.
he
You know,
could somehow work his way. The actor could work his way into 6 of those 10
we could
series.
we could see Boba escape from the Sarlacc pit in something. Whether it's another animated series, whether it's one of the already announced. We have movies that we don't know anything about yet,
Yeah.
and we
And we're
have, you know what
getting
I
new
mean?
news every single day. I mean, it was maybe an hour before we signed on to do this. I found out that the actress who plays Fennec is reprising that role in the Bad Batch. Did you see that? That she's going to now do the voice of Fennec in the Bad Batch, and that was 2 hours ago that news broke. So it's constantly evolving. I mean, who knows? We could sign off right now and we'll see someone was casted for this show, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, the guy, he's not going anywhere because he could definitely reprise a role in Obi-Wan, in Ahsoka.
Do you think we get Bo-Katan again?
I don't know. I thought we were getting Bo Katan last week. I'm kind of on like Bo Katan watch where like I pretty much think we're getting her every episode we go into. I'm like expecting her to show up kind of. Like I'm kind of in that
Yeah.
mindset now because I definitely don't think she's done in the Mandalorian.
No.
Absolutely not.
Ex-
She's a huge part of the story. She's going for the dark saber. The same
exactly
way
what I was gonna say.
the
Yep.
same way Din is hunting Grogu, she is hunting the dark saber. So she's parallel to Din, just hunting something else. So she's definitely not done. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. That
No, I
like I
mean,
said,
I
I
think
wait for her to show up every episode.
yeah, I think we could get her in the finale, like when everybody assembles like Avenger style, and they're all there, and she shows up because she wants the dark saber, and she knows how to use a dark saber. So we don't. I don't know, but I think we get her in the finale at least. That I'm guessing.
I know a lot of people, I'm sure, want Bo to get that dark saber, but I also think, especially since Din's the main character and everything, I think it would be poetic and justifiable if Din was wielding that when it was all said and done, or even if it was just for a few episodes or whatever. I think it would be poetic for him to be wielding that. But I obviously Bo Katan has the right to it, so. But I would love to
Yeah,
see Din get that.
and we'll see Din wielding the Beskar spear that he has, and I
Yeah,
think the
that's
only
gonna be
thing that
great.
makes sense with that weapon is that that's going to be going head on with the dark saber,
Yeah,
which is going to be pretty cool. And
yeah,
it's going to show that it's going to show his fighting skills with something like that, because usually we see him shooting
yeah.
and
100%.
or hand combat. But I
And
think it's
maybe
going to
and
be
maybe
cool.
uh and maybe Pedro Pascal from some of his stuff on Game of Thrones could actually be doing that. So we
Yeah,
could possibly get because another thing I also expect every episode is Din to ditch the full time mask. So we may see an unmasked Din wielding that spear as well. Because Pedro might know what he's doing with that thing. So that could be interesting. Which I'm always
yeah,
down for. I'm down for Din to set aside wearing the mask for 98% of the series, 99% of the series.
yeah. Well, I mean, my ultimate guess for I don't know if it's going to be in the finale, but maybe the finale of season 3 or something is I don't know, depending on the time or how things play out. I'm assuming that Grogu is going to be like a foundling style Mandalorian Jedi, and we might
Mhm.
see him one day with a helmet. We might, or we might not see him with a helmet because they don't, Din still thinks he needs his helmet, but he's weaning off of it now. So we might see, we might see a totally new style. He might have armor, whatever the situation is, but I think he's going to be very Foundling style, and he's going to be the Mandalorian Jedi.
Yeah.
So
Of course,
we'll see.
I mean, listen, I'm down. I'm down for anything and all things Grogu. So
Yeah,
to give him every title the Star
and
Wars Encyclopedia has, and I'm on
and
board.
him on Mandalore or whatever the situation is when that does come to play, or him being a Mandalorian and not just a Jedi. I mean, even though we never really heard of this Mandalorian Jedi that looks like Yoda,
Yeah.
there could be some sort of a plot story where he's away somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so we'll be back after the finale to talk about everything.
Definitely clear up some predictions.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot to talk about. We'll be talking about the entire episode that we saw. We'll be talking more about the season and how things led up to that. Some stuff that were right before our eyes and we didn't even realize. So, like always, guys, thank you for watching, and we're going to have you guys please like and subscribe to our YouTube so we could stay in touch with you guys, because we're going to be doing these a lot more now that we're all set up. And all the links are going to be in the bio for the Discord and Twitter, Instagram. So we'll talk to you guys soon, and thank you guys. All right.
All right,
Bye,
peace.
Steph.